Hi guys, welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam. We are live and this is the Southampton against Manchester United preview. Manchester United coming back from that defeat against Crystal Palace, straight in action again against Southampton this weekend, and it's the weekend before that dreaded international break. Just as you get into the rhythm of things again with Premier League football, the international break arrives. But what we are looking at here today is Southampton, Manchester United, and United needing to get a result, needing to get a win, not only to bounce back from that defeat against Crystal Palace, but to also send all of us Reds into 2 weeks of international break feeling happy and feeling a little bit more better about ourselves heading into the next phase of Premier League games. 4 points out of 9 isn't good enough for Manchester United. 7 points out of 12 given the fixtures is not ideal, but you'd say, okay, start of the season, we slipped up at Crystal Palace, but we managed to recover and get 3 points. That's only if we beat Southampton. And we're going to be discussing everything today. I'm going to be giving you the team news, my predictions, my predicted 11, answering some of your questions, discussing the opposition, and much, much more here on AdamMcKola TV in the preview. And remember, if you're watching this live, then you can get your questions in. If you're not, we get many people that don't watch it live and watch it back later. Then of course, get your comments in below, and every now and then I'll dive into the comments and drop some replies to your questions as well. But right now we're talking that game, and the news today coming through. We knew Luke Shaw was out for a while, 4 to 6 weeks with that hamstring strain. So we knew that we were looking at Ashley Young or Brandon Williams to potentially step in at left back, with Diogo Dalot also out for Manchester United, and Ethan Laird also injured as well. So we're potentially looking at replacements there for Luke Shaw. But United also got the news that they didn't want to get this week, with the news that Anthony Martial will also be out for this game. Now, 2 goals in 3 games in his opening 3 Premier League games for Anthony Martial. United's number 9 playing up top. Obviously we've got Marcus Rashford as well, but that is not an injury that we want. Now, it looks like he's only going to miss this game and he'll be back after the international break. But this is the concern that I have had. United getting injuries to key players. You're looking this season, the key areas where we're lacking in depth, up front and in the middle. If we get an injury to Pogba, if we get an injury to Martial or Rashford like we're seeing now, then we're very, very thin up top. We've already seen pictures of Alexis Sanchez in Italy. He's leaving. He's following Lukaku there. We're hearing talk about Chris Smalling leaving. Now, Chris Smalling leaving doesn't strike me with any fear, because we've got enough cover there in central defence, and I'm delighted to see Axel Tuanzebe be promoted. Defence is an area we've actually strengthened in. It's the middle and up top where we haven't strengthened in, and we've lost players as well. So we've lost numbers and we've lost depth, we've lost quality. So we need to look in there. Who's going to come in? Is Mason Greenwood going to come in? It's a lot of pressure on a young lad. Now, you could potentially put in Marcus Rashford up top, put Daniel James and Jesse Lingard, or Daniel James and Juan Mata out wide. You could try something like that. But I think give Mason Greenwood a shot. Look, we haven't got much in terms of the wider areas. Are we going to play a midfield 3 with a front 3, 4-2-3-1? Again, a diamond. How are we going to play? That remains to be seen. But give Mason Greenwood a go, whether it's with a 2 up top, whether it's with a 1 in the middle and 2 out wide. Give him a go. He's obviously a part of this first team squad. We've obviously heard Ole Gunnar Solskjaer say he's going to be given an opportunity. And although it was only pre-season, when he has come in, he has looked pretty good. So I say give the boy a chance, because Mason Greenwood would deserve it on merit as well for what he's done building up to now. So I think if Anthony Martial, which is obviously being confirmed now, is out of this game, play Mason Greenwood, give him an opportunity. And you never know what he can do to the defence like that. We've seen players, you know, come in, and Southampton may, you know, they've had experience against Martial, they've had experience against Rashford and other players. They've never played against Southampton unless they've got someone that's playing for them in their defence from their academy, which they haven't. Then you're looking at that thinking, no one's come up against Mason Greenwood before. They won't know what to expect from him. Now, obviously, football teams watch videos and watch footage and watch players, and they coach them and they'll let them know what they do. But Mason Greenwood is good on both feet, can change direction quickly, great skill, great trickery, great finish. He's a very good forward player. got to come into his own in terms of bulk and you know, physically, and adapting to the men's game, because that's the big difference now. He can do all his qualities, no doubt, mentally and physically. Can he adapt to the men's game? That's what we need to see. But we saw him in pre-season. Now, as I said, it's only pre-season, but we were playing up against some experienced players there, and he was coming in and he was twisting guys up left, right, and centre. So the signs from Mason Greenwood are good, and if you're young, if you're good enough, you're old enough to give him a chance, is what I'm saying. What do you guys think? Play Greenwood or not? One comment says, RS, Greenwood is overrated. Suman says Greenwood is underrated, as does JT. So the comments there are both, you know, hit and miss. Obviously, mixed opinions. Jacob says, don't want to see Greenwood stuck out wide when he's so talented as a centre forward. Now, that's the point. Here is an opportunity presenting itself for him to play in his favoured position. Now, obviously, occasionally he's going to have to play out wide to get minutes and come off the bench or whatever. But here is an opportunity. Anthony Martial isn't available to start. He's the man that's played through the middle more often than not. So now play Greenwood there. Let's see what he can do. And this season, we've got to come to expect inconsistency in results and performances, simply because the lack of depth in the squad means any injuries are going to affect us massively. The amount of youngsters coming through on the fringes and are going to play, they're going to be inconsistent. The manager himself, we've seen him make mistakes so far as well. I thought he got the team selection wrong against Crystal Palace. Now, that's easy to say in hindsight. And if Rashford scores his penalty, we probably go on to win the game. But I thought picking Lingard and Daniel James to start was probably the wrong decision. What do I know, eh? And then against Wolves, the substitutions were probably the wrong ones. But he's still learning as well. So we're going to be inconsistent on the pitch this season. That is for sure. The one thing I do like is we're trying to play football. Now, we didn't see much of that against Crystal Palace. And we've got to learn how to break teams down when they decide to sit back. When they've got 2 banks of 4 or 2 banks of 5. We've got to learn how to break teams down. Jesse Lingard, who's been our number 10, who's been playing in that position, hasn't been in form. So we've suffered from a lack of creativity there. The wider areas, Daniel James, he was busy, he was working hard. His goal was obviously fantastic. But in terms of his final delivery, wasn't creating. And Marcus Rashford there as well. I thought he did very well against Wolves. Didn't do well against Crystal Palace. So there was a lack of creativity there as well. And we're seeing that from the team. We need to improve in that aspect, creating opportunities when teams are sitting back. But against Southampton, they've played 3 at the back. And they've played a 4-2-2-2, which they did away from home in the League Cup against Fulham, which they won 1-0. They've lost 2 of their 3 league games, won 1 of those games. The other game they lost against, I think they won at Brighton, lost against Liverpool, and I can't remember who their opening day fixture was against. But their form has been hit and miss this season. Lost their first 2, won their last 2, including cup competitions. And they'll be hopeful of pulling off another upset. They would have seen what Palace done and maybe thinking, can we sit back and soak things up here? But I'm hoping with the pressure of them being at home, with the home crowd behind them, that they will look to push out a little bit, and that will help us. In the home games, we're going to have to be trying to things differently to break teams down. But away from home, when teams come out, we actually look pretty good on the counter-attack. So I'd be confident of us having opportunities, being able to create the chances when Southampton do come out and open up. If they play a 3 at the back, then what I would go with is Rashford and Greenwood in those forward positions, and making them pick them. They're going to have spaces out wide, and you're going to have spaces in between the centre halves, especially when their wing backs get on. In terms of their front line, you're looking at it and you're thinking, you've got Redmond, who's played for them, Danny Ings as well, but there's not a whole load of threat. Now, if they both go and score and United lose on Saturday, I look like an idiot, but there's not a massive, you know, we've gone up against better Southampton teams in the past. I do think their coach is all right, though. He'll have something up his sleeve for United and Ollie. King Cantona 73 says Lukaku out, Greenwood in, Sanchez out, Chong in, Fellaini out, Gomez in, Smalling out, Twanzebe in, Deadwood out, Youth in. Things looking good, but give the young boys a chance. Now, that's what I will say, and I've said this before. I was unhappy with the amount of business we did in the summer. Not unhappy with the business we did. The signings we made were very good and much needed. It was the lack of business that bothered me. And you look at, you know, the players that left. Lukaku, Herrera, Fellaini, Sanchez, potentially Smalling. Now, if those players, obviously Fellaini left in the other window, but if those players leave at the start of the window, and then United bring in Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Daniel James, replace 2 or 3 of those players, those players that left, then you're much more confident. This rebuild's going to be slower because of the fact that owners and the management are so inept in the transfer market, and we still haven't got a technical director. But Oli is actually, I think he's been watching United like we have, and being, fuck's sake, Smalling and Jones again. Because look, Smalling and Jones straight out of the team this season. Smalling potentially moving to Roma, which is a surprise. I don't hate Smalling like some people do, the driver campaign against him. And I wouldn't mind him as a squad player, but it's good to see him move on. It's a change of the guard at United. Matic, no longer in the first 11. Now, he will play some games. I know we wanted to see Young gone, but he's only playing because of injury. Then you look further forward, Alexis Sanchez, Lukaku. He's getting rid of players that don't want to be here, don't fit in, or are just not good enough anymore. And that's good to see. We're potentially seeing Darmian leave as well. But the problem for Oli is he's only replaced these players with youngsters. Now that can work out good. You can get a few gems, you can get a few Marcus Rashfords that come in, tear things up and look fantastic and can potentially be part of the squad for the foreseeable future. But what that also does is it heaps a load of pressure onto those players. And I think we need to strike a balance between youth and quality signings. Youth and quality, youth and experience. We need to strike that balance between promoting academy players and signing the right players. And we haven't done that so far. It looks like Oli's trying to do that now. Whether he's good enough tactically, whether he's good enough as a manager, in terms of getting results and winning trophies, remains to be seen. But what he's doing with the squad, I'm actually quite happy with. I just wish we had brought in 1 or 2 more players, because the 3 players weren't enough this summer. We only signed 3 last summer, and those were Delo, Fred and Grant. That wasn't enough then, and this wasn't enough now. The centre half and the right back should have been signed last summer, so we could have focused on improving our midfield and improving our attack this summer. That didn't go to plan, and that hasn't happened, so we're almost playing catch up. But Oli's come in and he's seemingly got a plan. And in terms of his squad management, I'm liking what I see. In terms of on the pitch, there's plenty of improvements that he could do. His substitutions could improve. The substitution to bring on Greenwood was the right one against Palace, I thought. But he took off Lingard. Now, Lingard should have gone off because he wasn't playing well. But bring on Mata or someone as well. Bring on someone to be able to create the chances and find Greenwood and Martial and Rashford. Because Pogba was way too deep in the field. So he's always got to pick out that Hollywood ball. When if he's further 10, 20 yards up the field, he can find those through balls and find the runs that these guys make. Yeah, the new number 7. Kian says, I would start Angel. He's ready. Kian wants to see Angel start. Sad to hear about Berry. Yes, it is sad to hear about Berry. Now, what I haven't agreed with, there's a lot of this people saying, the Premier League clubs and United and City should bail these guys out. If United and City give money to the club, what's to say the owner isn't going to spunk it and back pocket it again? The problem here is the way the EFL and the FA are allowing these owners to come in without doing their due diligence and without making sure that these guys actually wanting to run the club for the right reasons and have the finances to be able to do that. It's not United and City's fault. If your local corner shop goes broke, Sainsbury's and Asda ain't going to bail them out. At the end of the day, these football clubs are businesses. And the clubs around Bury, they'll be, the local clubs around them will be thinking, that means maybe more at our gate, more players for us from the local area. Ultimately, it's a dog-eat-dog world for them. From a football fan's perspective, it's very disappointing to see. But it's the EFL and the FA that have to take that responsibility, not other clubs. Greenwood needs Gomez for linking up, says Paul Lucas. Imagine those two come in, tear shit up at the weekend. That would be good to see. What I hate about this game is It's that early kickoff. Now this sounds trivial, doesn't it? Why are you moaning about a kick? I hate these early kickoffs. Do you remember Wayne Rooney's old tweet about eating pasta early in the morning? I just always worry that we're going to get beat, especially away from home at a place like Southampton where they'll be up for it. United will start slow, Southampton will score early and we'll get beat 3-1 or something. I always have those fears for these kind of games, early kickoff or televised games. Southampton away, West Ham away. Those kind of fixtures when they're televised absolutely shit me up. Anyway, let's go to my predicted 11. This is that. So this is my predicted 11. Now you would have noticed I went for a similar predicted 11 against Crystal Palace. I wanted to play the diamond. I wanted to play Mata in there. Martial was in place of Greenwood in that predicted 11. And Luke Shaw was obviously in place of Ashley Young. But with the injuries that we have, this is the team that we're probably going to have to play. So I'd go with David De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. Now I know, Ashley Young. Now I know Lindelof made that mistake. Well, I say a mistake. He lost the aerial duel, which led to a goal. It's not exactly a mistake, is it? But I know he did that. But these guys are going to have to take time to learn together. Lindelof and Maguire and Wan-Bissaka as well. So I'm hopeful for what we're seeing coming from them. I thought McTominay wasn't great against Crystal Palace. I thought he had a dreadful game. If we had the options, I wouldn't be starting him. But I'm not confident in Matic. I'd go with McTominay again. Just bring a little bit extra in midfield, maybe Pereira. But I've opted for Fred this time around. Paul Pogba, obviously. Juan Mata in the hole. Give Jesse Lingard a rest. Take him out of the firing line a little bit. He's not performing at the moment. He's getting a lot of stick. Just take him out. He probably doesn't deserve to start, but I think it's for his own good as well. Mason Greenwood up top with Marcus Rashford. That is my 11 for this game, and I understand by the comments that I'm streaming while the Champions League draws on. That's how we don't care about that, don't you? Governor Bandicoot says that's exactly my preferred 11. Pioche says I would play Axel and rest Lindelof. Now I do hope to see Axel Tuanzebe getting the game time very, very soon. That could potentially be in this game, although I wouldn't mind if it was from the bench when we were 3-0 up. I do think you've got to give some consistency to your selection, especially in a place like the back line. And when you see mistakes or errors like the ones we saw against Crystal Palace, then you want them to be able to iron them out. Now I'm not overly concerned with Lindelof, Maguire and Wan-Bissaka so far as that I need to change it. And I don't think 3 games in you need to rotate it yet. There's enough game time, there's enough games. We've just been drawn against Rochdale in the Cup as well, so we've got a Cup competition coming up soon. There'll be enough games for Tuanzebe to get minutes. Thanks for the comment on my hair and the top. Cheers, guys. You're far too kind. Sanchez has ruined Ole's chances, Daniil. We need to sign Sancho now before the window's up, don't we? My preferred 11 would be David De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Young, McTominay, Andreas, Pogba, Angel, Mason and Rashford. So you've gone for Angel in place of Mata and Andreas in place of Fred in my 11. If I was going to play Andreas, I'd bring Andreas in for McTominay and not in for Fred. There's a reason we paid £50 million for this guy. So let's be having it and let's be seeing you. We need to see some action from Fred very, very soon. Will I be doing a live reaction to the Europa League draw, says Gov Bandicoot? Probably, mate. Probably on full-time Devils. I'm doing the weekly United, so if the draw's tomorrow, I'll include that in the weekly United. Gomez to sub Mata, says no. Greenwood needs to step up in place of Martial, and I agree to play Rashford alongside him, says Dylan. Lingard will definitely start with Rash and James as the front 3. Andreas number 10, at least he can prove he's better than Lingard in that position. Ollie won't start Greenwood. Now Ollie has been very, very complimentary of Mason Greenwood, although to be fair he was complimentary of Alexis Sanchez before we got rid of him. So what does that mean? Jay says Angel in place of Mata. McTominay is good. Young will fuck up on Saturday, guaranteed, to Zach. Nice to see a little bit of confidence in that. He's going to play the same team as the last 2 games, says Colin. Well, we can't do that because Luke Shaw and Anthony Martial are out, so there will be at the very least 2 changes to the team. I'd rather play a back 3 with Axel than seeing Young play. So then who would you play at wing back? Ashwin. if you play with Axel, Maguire and Lindelof, which isn't a problem for me as a back three at all. But who would you then play at left wing back? If I'm assuming, obviously, Wan-Bissaka's at right wing back, because Diogo Dalot's out injured, Ethan Laird's out injured. Sanchez isn't officially gone yet, but he's been pictured in Italy, and it looks like a move is close for him. He even said Greenwood was the best finisher at the club. I remember reading that as well, Jacob. And when you're saying things like that, you need to give the guy a chance. Fred has a great dead ball delivery, used it a lot at the nets, put him on corners and long free kicks, as Bartholomew. Lingard selected for the England squad. Comments, says Newton Heath. He's had poor form recently, but I think a lot of people are going over the top a little bit with it. And I think if you watch England, I don't watch every England game, but the games I have watched, Jesse Lingard's been an integral part to what they're doing there. So Gareth Southgate isn't going to drop him. Solskjaer should probably take him out of our 11, but I don't foresee him looking to get rid of him based on a few poor performances. I think the number 10 position is an area we need to improve in. Can Angel Gomez come in there and do well? Will we sign someone? That's why I was so keen to see us get someone like Dybala, someone that can drop off into those areas. I know he's not an out-and-out number 10, but he can play there, and that's why I was so keen for that to happen. It obviously didn't. And that's the kind of signing that would have been perfect, really. If we managed to swap Lukaku for Dybala, it would have been amazing, because it would have given us that option that we need in both attack and in that little bit of a hole. Cheers, Amir. People don't appreciate Lingard's work rate off the ball, says Noel. Look, I'm a massive fan of Jesse's. He knows I am, and I agree with you. People don't notice the good things that he does. His movement, his pressing, his intensity, the space he creates for others, all of that stuff. But recently he has been poor, and I think even he'd admit that. Against Crystal Palace, his first touch was poor, his passing was poor, everything was poor. Things that he usually does very well. Any more comments, guys? Make sure you're keeping your comments coming in on this, the Southampton against Manchester United preview. And remember, make sure you're liking the video and subscribing as well to AdamMcKola TV. Can we hit 70k subscribers by the end of September? Let's see if that can happen. Damian is leaving as well, according to BBC. See, it does look like we're clearing house. Clear out, as the great said. Would have been perfect, Maddison or Fernandez, says Kit. Mate, if we can get Maddison and Sancho next summer, I'd be buzzing with that. The Europa League draws 1 PM. Cheers, mate. Do you think Dylan Levitt will get a chance? Possibly. He's been doing well in the academy, hasn't he? Maguire's head to score the size of that thing. Oh boy, says Danil. Now, I'm not really sure what my prediction is for this game. Southampton's form's been hit and miss, but I know they're capable of it on their day. United's form has been hit and miss. I thought against Chelsea, first half poor, managed to get the lead. Second half a lot better. Against Wolves, first half pretty good. Second half, when they scored, we were poor. Then we recovered and got better in the game. Probably deserve to win it, and if Pogba scores, we do deserve to win it, and it's a professional away performance. Palace, awful. It's been a very up and down season for United, so I'm hoping we're up again against Southampton and we can put in a performance and get a result. We obviously need to make up for those 3 points lost at home against Crystal Palace. We then can't be dropping points away from home against Southampton, which is a game that we should be looking at 3 points, really. When you're looking at where we want to be, we want to finish in that top 4. It's looking like it's going to be a top 4 target for us this season, and if we can get that, I think we would have had a good season. And we have to win games like this, especially when you lose games against Crystal Palace at home. You can't be then dropping more points the following weekend, and you have to show a reaction. That's the main thing as well, and I think Ollie will learn a lot about his players by how they react to defeat and how they react to setbacks. One thing that Sir Alex used to always say, and I hate to hark back to it, but I'm a Fergie kid. That's what I grew up on. And one thing he used to always say after a defeat was, it's how you react to it. It's how you bounce back. And Manchester United always bounce back. Now, obviously, in the last 6 years, it hasn't been the case. But in this circumstance, against Southampton, we have to bounce back. And I'm actually quite confident that we will do that. I was confident we'd beat Palace, though. So, you know, don't take that for anything and don't run putting money on it. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Manchester United. I'd love if David De Gea could keep a clean sheet and Maguire and Lindelof and the boys could keep a clean sheet. But that probably isn't going to happen. And I can imagine Southampton will start early. They may get the first goal. But I'm hoping United can get a couple of goals in this game. I think they'll leave the spaces for us to be able to punish them. And if Mason Greenwood starts as well, he's a wild card. They don't know much about him. He can cause them plenty of problems. So fingers crossed he will do that. Anyway, guys, I am going to get out of here for now. But thank you for watching AdamMcKola TV. Thank you for keeping it locked to AdamMcKola TV. I'll be back over the weekend with reaction from St Mary's Stadium with the Weekly United on sorry, let me tell you it in order. So Friday we've got the Weekly United, and I might do a video with Dean as well. I'm going to see what he's doing. Saturday we've got reaction from St Mary's to the game, and of course a match day vlog. Sunday the aftermath live, so the reaction, the post reaction to the Southampton game, and hopefully we're talking about 3 points. And then I go on holiday for a week to Portugal, but I might do a few videos around the pool or something. So if you've got any ideas for video content that you want to see from me on here, AdamMcKola TV, let me know in the comments below. That is my predicted 11. And of course, get yours in the comments below. My score prediction is 2-1 United, with Greenwood getting his first Premier League goal of the campaign. I really don't know why I'm so confident, but hey ho, there you go. Anyway, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm out of here.